Want help to grow your business? Download BRiN, the world's first business advisor in your pocket. To find out more, visit BRiN.ai or search the App Store today.
G'day, Nils Vesk from Innovate or Die. Welcome to this series where we're going to be looking at ways that you can bring commercial innovation to your organisation and your business for great commercial gain. So you might be thinking, innovate or die, what a serious topic. Well, the reality is, unless we're innovating, we're either competing on price or we're playing catch up, trying to chase our competitors as they go out and capture the market. And innovation is such a crucial key element that we all need in our businesses today. And when I've worked with organisations around the world, there's one common problem that I find, and that is that there are too few innovations and they're just too far apart. And the number one cause behind all of this is our biased perception. The bottom line is the way that we've been taught to think about innovation has skewed the way that we think about innovating and the ways that we can come up with new ideas. And that can either be a good thing or a bad thing. And in each one of our episodes, we're going to be unpacking a model called innovation archetypes. Because if we can understand the biases of the most amazing professional innovators and use their best principles, then we can use that to create great commercial gain in our own organizations. So let's quickly unpack each one of these archetypes and phases so you've got an idea of what we're going to be doing in each episode. And so we have universally 4 phases of innovation when it comes to it. We've got the investigation phase, ideation, iteration, and commercialization. The investigation phase is all about looking for insights as to where we should be applying our thinking to generate brilliant ideas. The ideation phase is all about coming up with lots and lots of great ideas. And then this iteration phase is all about testing, piloting and prototyping our ideas so we can minimize the risk while increasing our certainty. And finally, we've got the commercialization phase. This is all about taking our idea, building it, and then selling it to the masses so we can get a good commercial return. And each one of our episodes, we're going to unpack one of these expert archetypes so we can borrow and model them to get some great commercial results. So let's get ready to rock, innovate or die. Welcome to Innovate or Die. Our episode today is how to innovate like a project manager for effective execution. This is pretty important because, let's face it, if you've got a great idea or, the notion of come up with innovation, unless you can get some rubber on the road and build the sucker, you're pretty much wasting your time. I think there are a few things that project managers do really well. They're really good at delegating to get other people to do things. They're really good at systemizing, having systems in place, and they just know what to focus on how to prioritize. So let's delve into this a little bit more to unpack how you can innovate like a project manager to get more commercial returns, either by finishing your project on time, on budget, or just making it easier for you. And I think there are 3 commercial reasons why we want to innovate like a project manager. And the first one of these is, if you think about it, any innovation really is an implementable innovation project. Any goal that you have in life or in business really is a project. And there's some big movements that are happening in the world of effectiveness and time management and all of productivity where they're getting people to shift to thinking from, I've got a goal, and turning it into physical projects. That's one of the commercial reasons. The second commercial reason why we might want to innovate like a project manager is that if we can manage the input, we can manage the output of the innovation. It makes sense. If we control how we do things at the start, we're going to have better control on the end result. If it's just a haywire, whatever comes, happy days type of creation, we're more than likely to come out with a product or a process or a service innovation that just doesn't quite hit the market in the way that we want it to do. The third commercial reason why I really like to borrow and lend and innovate like a project manager is that project managers know how to take what seems like the unsurmountable, the massive mountains that you've got to climb, and break them down into small, bite-sized, attainable tasks that we can do. When Famously, JFK said, let's go out there and get to the moon. That was a massive project that was broken down step by step by step. So that leads us to the idea of who might be some poster childs for the project manager archetype. And the first one I want to talk to you about is a guy by the name of Jerry Madeline. And Jerry Madeline was a NASA project manager. And he was infamous throughout NASA. And one of the reasons why he was so infamous was that he just always seemed to know what to do, when to do, to deal with problems, to deal with challenges. He was the one who was always making sure the projects were on time, on budget, and everyone worked really, really well together. So if a NASA project manager has some principles that we can learn from, I think that would be valuable for our organisations. And we're really quite lucky because one of the things that he promoted or created in his time was something called, I think it was the 100 rules for NASA project managers. And there are some amazing gems. If you ever get the time to search for it, check it out because there's some real gems in there. I think another really good poster child for project management is a guy by the name of Timothy Ferriss. Now, you may have heard of Timothy Ferriss. He's been the author of a number of world best-selling #1 books out there. One was called The 4-Hour Workweek. He's also done another one called The 4-Hour Body. He's also, he's done a number of different books. And what set Ferriss off on this complete tangent to stardom was his first book called The 4-Hour Workweek. And his concept in this book was, hey, I've got a job where I'm doing all of these tasks. Surely there's got to be a better way for me to do this. And his concept was how to break things down into tasks so he could get other people to do it. And he ended up actually having a virtual assistant who was working for him full-time in India, who was organising and doing a lot of the work. So he still met all of his targets. He still had this full-time job where he'd managed to broker that he only needed to turn up his face only a certain number of days a week for a certain number of hours because he was out there doing sales, but really he was only working 4 hours a week. Good book, worth checking out. But one of the keys behind his strategy there was how to understand the systems, how to leverage your thinking, and how to outsource to get other people to do things so you're more cost effective with your time so you can get a better return of investment. So if that doesn't get you excited about project management, I don't know what will, but let's delve into it anyway. And the first space and place that project managers do very well is they understand the concept of deliverables. That is, that if we're going to create an innovation, whether it's this kind of cool and funky hand, what's it going to look like at the end? And in order to get there, what are the steps of the deliverables that we need to do? And I first experienced this as a designer. I used to work as a landscape architect and urban designer. And one of the amazing project managers within the organisation I found would always have these little diagrams or drawings of things that needed to be done. And in many ways, what was so powerful about this guy's type of thinking is that when someone said, right, we've got a project to do, he would actually break it down into visual deliverables. And so you might argue, but if you're designers, it makes sense that there will be visual things. But let me just take you through and explain why. So one of the things that he would talk about is that, okay, we might need to deliver a certain number of mood boards that communicate what sort of design we're going to be doing with these pretty pictures and bits and pieces, right? That was one of the deliverables that were going to need to be done. The other thing that was going to need to be done was there was going to be some sort of conceptual functional diagram. If you've seen some of our other episodes, you'll understand what I'm talking about here, of the function of a new building or a site and how it might work. So that was one of the deliverables. There were visual deliverables that were based on, let's say, for example, we needed to do rough budget costings, and there would be these sort of Gantt charts and costing estimates that would talk about timing and costs and dollars involved. There would be a visual deliverables around things such as our concept drawings. So in these drawings, what the concept drawings would be like and how they would start to create form and structure around our sites. Then there would be design development drawings, there would be specification reports, there would be tender documents, there would be a whole stack of all of these different things that needed to be done in order to make this project done. And by breaking them down into visual components, What it enabled people to do was get a mental grasp of what needed to be done very quickly. And graphic communication is some of the most powerful things that we can use in communication. Why it's so important is that it enables people to understand a bigger concept in an instant. And graphic communication doesn't just relate to, say, for example, pictures of things. Graphic communication and visual deliverables can be simply numerically numbering what things need to be done in what order. It's about having bullet points. It's about having tables. It's about having charts. These are all visual communication tools that good project managers use to make sure that we go out there and deliver projects on time and on budget. So what else do these designers and project managers do very well? So if we were to break down the visual deliverables very well, sometimes you hear the concept of, what's your plan? And people might say, well, my plan is, and they just verbally say what their plan is. Good project managers will actually have a plan that's based on a few different areas. A plan, in many ways, is what covers the what covers the how, and what covers the where. So if you were to imagine what this might look like on a plan, let's say we're going to create a new freeway that's cutting through the suburbs or through the countryside, whatever it might be, and this might be a plan of some sort of cul-de-sac development there. This is the road that's going to go through, and all these different things. Through these different areas, what the plan is all about is looking at, what is going to be happening. So this is going to be some sort of type of pavement of this sort. It's about, where things are actually going to be happening. So it might be giving distances from different areas as well. And then there might be what they call blow-up detailed plans that talk about how this construction wall or how this road is going to be constructed, and they'll have a cross-section looking at the subgrade and the compaction and everything like that. And I know I'm drawing a lot from engineering and design and architecture in terms of using these plans. But if you think about it, whether you're building a rocket, whether you're building a new city, whether you're building an aeroplane, there are plans involved. So think about the what, the how, and the where. Schedule.
To continue enjoying this presentation, download BRiN, the world's first business advisor in your pocket. To find out more, visit BRiN.ai or search the App Store today.